Hello and welcome to the Weekend Edition. I'm Dr. Kingoru. We have a great and a classic show lined up for you. Our reporter Wanyonyi is also on standby with a special guestwork report coming up in a bit. Our guest for tonight is a veteran in Nairobi politics. In fact, at one point, he came very close to serving as the mayor for Nairobi, but fell victim to, guess what? Labda tatuambia. Wale hawajui mayor ni nini? Mayor ni governor low budget. What changed by this is the titles. Governors walikuwa wanaitwa, governors wenyewe wanaitwa his or her excellency. Mayor walikuwa wanaitwa his worship. Wala wajui his worship ni nini? His worship ni wakuabudiwa. That's besides the point though. It's only by this Sonko who has been both his excellency and his worship. That's the only video I believe you will see ya Sonko kama ameinua mikono. And by the way, that's true. Kuna watu watafikiria ni Photoshop ama ndio video shop, but that's the governor himself. Anyway, our guest for tonight is a great lawyer and also the MP for Westlands. Honorable Wanyonyi is in the house. He'll be talking to us in a bit, but first, digital media strategist for NEPAD, Pauline Njoroge, broke a Guinness World Record as the shortest serving member on the Tourism Regulatory Authority Board. She served for only 3 minutes. In fact, haters have claimed that she had of both her firing and hiring at the same time. Mnajua, hii sasa ndio kublock mtu akitype. Or better yet, hiyo ni kama mtu akutumie pesa, alafu ukiwa kwa process ya kuandika, thanks, nimepata, a reverse. This has to be the coldest version of ile kitu ya, ama wacha tu. Imagine it in the context of marriage. Mse ana propose. Hey babe, unajua nimetafuta sana na sijawahi na dem kama wewe. You complete me. In fact, I'd love to spend the rest of my life with you. So will you marry me? Kabla dem aseme yes, ama wacha tu. So what happened is Tourism CS Najib Balala revoked Pauline Njoroge's appointment over a post she made about the Nairobi National Park. Now that we are firing people based on posts, what happened to whoever put up this post in the middle of the road in Taita Taveta? Again, that's besides the point. Now, the post that got Pauline Njoroge fired during her hiring was her claim that it was useless to have a national park in a congested city. I think Pauline Njoroge was trying to step in the shoes of someone living in such a house, na ati kuna nyuki iko na 30,000 acres town ndani. Now, if only Kenyans exercised this level of holding people to account for what they say without double standards, we'll be very far as a country. Lakini wa Kenya ni nani? Sisi ni wale. Watu wana crucify Pauline Njoroge juu ya kitu wamepost about wanyama, na ukisikia vitu politicians wengine wanasema kutuhusu. Anyway, that aside, we have come up with an idea for an extension of the Weekend Edition, just to encourage people through these tough times that COVID-19 has sponsored. I know very well that everyone has a story of something you have overcome from your past. Vitu umepitia, lakini ukiangalia hata unajichekeleanga tu. Unafurahia mahali umetoka. Kitu funny ni ati there's someone going through that right now. And the fact that you overcame is probably the encouragement they need. In this case, both for morale and for entertainment. We have titled it, It Was Not Funny When It Happened, But It's Funny Now. And who better to start with than my personal stories and those of my closest friends. Have a look at this snippet. Just to give you an idea.
Jamaa alikuwa na mosquito ziko kwa nyumba. Unajua watu ukifikiria ni mosquito, it was mosquito literally. Ile mkitaka kulala, first of all ni mjaribu mfukuze half of them. Sio vile wanafanya. Alibarikiwa kuwa na balcony hapo. So unawasha stima ya balcony,
zinafikiria huko ndio keja.
Itafikiria keja iko huko nje. Keja iko huko nje. Alafu
na short change mosquito.
Alafu unakuja bed sheet kubwa. Unazipeleka kwa light.
Buriti alikuwa toka Kariobangi anatembea mpaka Kani, but hiyo sio shida.
Unacheki
Ile kiatu Butita alikuwa nayo, hata kutembea nayo kutoka kwa stage ya Carnival mpaka ndani ya Carnival is torture enough.
Hiyo kiatu ilikuwa expect. Kwanza tuanzie hapo. Hii kiatu ilikuwa expect. Ni vile tu nilipata na mlango wa nyuma. Unajua mtumba inakuwa mlango wa nyuma. Sasa nilipata ni kiatu value yake ukuanga kaa 3.5.
Hakuna vile 2010 ungekuwa na kiatu ya 3.5.
Sikununua 3.5. Mimi nilinunua 300. Mlango wa nyuma mtumba.
So
ikiwa mpya ni 3.5.
Bei yake Japan.
Bei yake huko mali. Unajua Kariobangi kuna kila kitu second hand. Hata ukitaka nyama second hand unaweza pata. Unacheki. Kitu yote unaweza get. So unacheki.
Let's turn to our reporter Kenya Njui for other stories making the news.
Following this week's resignation of the Nairobi County Assembly Speaker Beatrice Elachi, Guesswork dived into the drama that led to this decision to investigate how love turned into hate, considering just last year, the Assembly even had a popular gospel song corrupted to praise the embattled speaker. Twede, vimbada, 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 sinaje. Bas! On this particular day, there was so much chaos and confusion outside the Assembly. In fact, this gentleman was caught on camera, akinyoga, in public. This action was, however, condemned by the authorities, kwani City Hall is no platform ya kurihas geta. Right outside the speaker's office, a crowd was causing a commotion. Walikuwa wakifikiria kuna watu wanakura peke yao huko ndani, wakaambiwa hakuna kitu ya kukura. Waka-insist, wakaambiwa haya bas, karibuni tear gas. What followed was a wild beast migration. Inside the assembly was a battlefield. Chupa hapa, chupa pale. Note, the bottles are empty. Very symbolic of the lack of water in the areas most of these leaders represent. Also, inside the assembly, Guesswork spotted a honorable member scouting for potential victims. Kama huyu aliulizwa direct, uko na roho ni kuoneshe kilichomtoa kaga manyoya. He declined the offer. He later revealed in a separate interview kwamba sio uoga alikuwa nayo, ni vile yako na allergy ya kupigwa gumi. Otherwise, he would have voted ngwe. Kwa wale hamjui, ngwe is the formal application for a betting. Meanwhile, in the corridors of City Hall, Mafirifiri's eyes were having it. For this round of the warfare, she was against the speaker. In a surprising turn of events, she changed tune in the next fight.
Mimi mambo yetu na Elachi tulikaa chini na sababu sisi ni wamama, nikaomba msamaha na akanisamehea. Na nikamwambia wakati mwingine sasa mimi nimesimama na yeye. Mimi ndiye bouncer wake by the way. Yes. Mtu akikuja kumtoa ananipata mimi kama bouncer. Yes. Ama security. Yes. Kwa hivyo mimi nimesema kutoka leo Elachi must stay. Elachi atakaa kama mbaya na kama itakuwa mbaya ndio watajua mapilipili ni kusema nini.
Fast forward to last week but one, she returned back to factory settings. On the positive side though, the singing has raised any doubt critics had on whether the nominated MCA can perform. As the latest episode of the drama unfolded at the county assembly this year, this time putting police officers on the spot for brutalizing MCAs, Guesswork received footage of police officers doing their best to protect unborn Kenyans. The irony, look at the commitment to ensure no one gets hurt. This is still a developing story and we will keep you posted. Kwa sasa, wacheni i-develop. Representing the Guesswork fraternity on the Weekend Edition, guess who? Who else but the one and only Kenya Njui.
Now, we have so much to discuss with our guest Waleo, but I'm particularly interested in his lawyer side and how he managed to be his own man despite the strong brand his brother, who is the Bungoma Senator, Honorable Moses Wetangula, has created. Fun fact, they do not even belong to the same political party. We are back with Westlands MP, Honorable Wanyonyi, on the other end of this short commercial break. So see you guys in a bit. Welcome back to the Weekend Edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. Kama kawaida, show nzito sana. Our guest for tonight is the MP for Westlands, Honorable Wanyonyi. Karibu sana mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
Ndakugotea hivi kwa sababu kusalimia mtu for COVID.
Yes.
Karibu sana. Honorable Wanyonyi is a lawyer, and I think akiwacha tu kierere yangu ini tumekuwa something we are discussing, and I believe it's something of great interest to people. As a lawyer, vile tu umeniambia, if someone, you are a Christian, tuanze na, I'll just rephrase it nasema, you are a good Christian. Unaendanga kanisa na unaamini Mungu 100%. Na unajua dhambi zote watu wafai kufanya. Someone comes to you, anakuambia he has killed someone. Uende umtetee. Na akona pesa mzuri sana.
Yes.
Na uende umtetee kabisa na achiliwe.
Yes.
Don't you feel guilty?
No.
Why?
Because the law is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
But he told you the truth.
He told me the truth, but he's not accusing himself. It is the Republic versus him. So it's the Republic to present the evidence to court to convict him. But if they don't have the evidence, we will disapprove them. And the test is proof beyond reasonable doubt. So for me, it's just to create a doubt for him to walk.
So as a Christian, you are creating doubt as a good Christian.
Yes. Yes.
So unajua hiyo ni kesi na wewe na Mungu because umemtetea.
It's like a wife cannot testify against her husband. Even if she saw him committing a crime, she cannot come and testify, or vice versa.
No, your wife cannot testify against you.
No.
So if your wife said anything about you, she's lying.
Not she's lying.
Yes.
She may know the truth, but you know, these are people who stay together. These are people who share so much together. So if you come, there's something called privileged evidence. So that privileged evidence, you cannot compel her to come and testify against her husband.
Sheria iko na loopholes mingi sana. So if a woman saw you committing a crime, you marry her, then?
No, not see you commit. You know, there's a difference between when you do something
yes,
outside there,
yes,
and when you do it when we are together.
Oh, you have to commit
then
the crime.
I'll even become an accomplice if I went to defend you, because they can even bring me up as an accomplice.
Oh, so you should be married at the time of the crime.
Yes, you must be a couple.
Oh, Lord. Sheria, in fact, from that statement you said, I believe there's an excuse for everything.
Not an excuse. There is always a possibility that there's something that happened that for you to do what you did. So until they prove that you were actually premeditated to do that, there was an intention for you to do that, a criminal intention.
Yes.
Then they have no evidence against you to be convicted.
As a believer in God, you wouldn't feel like you need to let this client go because he confessed to you. So if you know professionally, yes, these other people have to prove that he did not do it, but then you yourself, you know he did it.
Yes.
But you still have to defend them, as in professionally, you are not allowed to even...
You know, there are so many factors that lead to people to commit maybe an act,
yes,
a particular act.
Yes.
It could have been, you know, if somebody came and challenged you, where you become angry to the level that you lose your control. You are not in your senses anymore.
Yeah.
And you act at that instant. You know, that can be also a defense. But if I did something to you, you get very angry, but you go away, go and maybe have a beer, 2, 3, then you come back 2 hours later, and you come and now look for me and kill me. Then that one, there's no excuse there. Any reasonable person, within 2 hours or 1 hour later, you'll have cooled down.
The law is confusing because
Yes.
if you in your example, if you go take 2 beers, in fact, that's the moment that you're not even yourself, kabisa.
Yes.
You say you are under the influence.
No, you're under the influence, but the reasonable scenario is that there's a period for somebody to cool down, to become a bit now more moderate in his thinking.
Yes.
But if you hold a vendetta, there's some people who can hold that thing for even 2 days, 3 days,
Yes, yes, yes.
and he finds you on the road and he'll hammer you and kill you.
Oh,
That
so-
one, you'll just be arrested and say you planned to kill this person.
Oh, so the law has a problem with keeping a grudge.
Yes, yes.
Not the act that you do.
No, they say intention. What is your intention?
So people are always punished for intention.
Yes.
Not the act that.
No.
Oh Lord. For those who don't know, Honorable Tim Wanyonyi is the younger brother wa Honorable Moses Wetangula mwenye alikam kwa show, and when he came to the show we had 2 different definitions in a show, different generations. Yeye alikuwa anajua jua kali, Webuye jua kali band, mimi nilikuwa najua jua kali. And he really cast into doubt my doctorate degree. But he's a fun guy. But sasa wewe refused to grow under his shadow. Moved out, created your own law firm na ukajitengenezea brand. In fact, in politics unaendanga na brand independent. Don't you think ingekuwa easy ya kukulia familia vile ilikuwa imeshatengenezwa tayari?
It was actually a tough call for me to move and go and start up something in my own name, which was not known at all, and then build it from there with my own type of clientele until people knew who Tim Wanyonyi was. Yes.
Okay, and and when it comes to building your own profile, you have a very interesting story. One time you were doing a case and then you introduced yourself as Wetangula. You
Yes.
used Tim Wetangula.
I said, I introduced myself. When you introduce yourself to a judge, you say, I'm so and so. So I said, my name is Tim Wanyonyi Wetangula. Then the judge looked at me and said, which Wetangula? Are you impersonating somebody? I said, no, Your Honor, that's my name. He said, okay, your name is Wanyonyi, so you can use Wanyonyi. Don't use Wetangula because Wetangula is somebody else. But then I looked and said, okay, but it's a family name. But I saw he was making sense. Because every time you call someone and people say, Dukia Wetangula, Dukia Wetangula.
Yes.
Then you lose you
lose yourself.
You lose your identity.
Yes.
People don't even know you. They know you as Dukia
Dukia
Fulani.
Wetangula, yes.
Yeah.
You've been a counselor too. Hii cutthroat ya Nairobi, hii cartels za hii taoni. How difficult is it to change this city based on hizo mambo tunasikianga za ni aje, there are people who own this town? How difficult is it to change this town?
It's not very difficult. It is just doing the right thing. Me, I believe when you go somewhere and you find a problem and you become part of that problem, then you are not going to solve that problem. But when you go there, go and provide a solution for that problem. If you find people, for example, let's take a case of Matatu, and you find Matatu operating in this manner, you'll call them and say, we are changing the rules of operation. So you'll operate in this way, not the way you have been operating.
Yes.
So that now they conform to the new rules, and you'll create order in that manner. Because when you come in and say you're going to remove them, they'll fight you. And that's how we end up saying cartels. So you create an alternative for them. You don't kill them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually address a problem with a solution, not dictatorship.
Yes. You look for a solution that will be acceptable.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm talking cartels in kuna hiyo, which makes a lot of sense. Then there's cartels like when the Daily Nation carried a story about hizi mtaa zinafaa kuwa na maji, people should get water. But some estates in Nairobi, maji is a foreign concept. In fact, it's a mineral. Unapata, sijui they found the pipes stuffed with mattresses so that people can sell water.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with such?
It is how the systems have been established, because people who are doing that business are the same people who are sitting in City Hall. You get?
Yes.
So they make sure that you at that end, wewe wanakata maji huko, then you supply water there, but you'll pay this fellow who is sitting here in City Hall collecting the taxes. But all what we need to do in Nairobi is we must change just the system of Nairobi. The system that is operating is the one that was created in the colonial days.
Yes.
The infrastructure is still the same. if we created infrastructure, because now technology can provide that, if a pipe is running here and somebody try to interfere with it, it will send a signal and the security will be there within very few minutes.
I really liked your, should I call it attitude ama approach? Because I asked you, you were a victim of a shooting.
Yeah.
And I asked you about crime. Seme kama this city, as in city, in fact it's the whole country, everywhere. Kuna hiyo mambo ya crime. And you are like, there are ways to reduce, but not to
Yes.
to finish it off completely.
Yeah.
Unajua, do you know you have a constitutional right to be very bitter with criminals? Vibaya sana.
Yes.
You don't exercise that right?
I can exercise that right, but sometimes when you realize that the position you are taking is not going to help you very much, then you just change that position and look for a better way to deal with it. For example, if we want to eliminate or minimize crime in Nairobi, why can't we create more opportunities for these young people? Because they are getting into crime because they are lacking something to do, to give them a living, to give them an earning.
Yes, we are talking of opportunities.
Yes.
We have people who have come from the lowest levels of life.
Yeah.
You also share that story.
Yes.
And we have people in Itwaje who choose to go with crime because they have no option. Is it that bad? As in, are the options that limited? Because I'm a believer in, I don't judge people, but I'm a believer in, if you work towards something, you will eventually gain.
Yeah. I'll give you a case scenario. Let us look at our governments. Look at the government that was there during Moi time.
Yes.
Kibaki, and now.
Yes.
Which one do you think that there was level of crime was a bit restrained?
That depends on where you live. I can
Yes.
answer that that way.
Because sometimes the leadership will determine what happens in the country.
Yes.
When the leadership is open and they are creating, all manner of opportunities for people to get means, to get lively income and all that, everybody will go on doing their own things and, they don't care.
Yes.
As long as you are not breaking the law, you make money and
Yes.
all that. And this happens everywhere.
Every politician in Kenya is a genius. Because I'll sit with you here, you have all the solutions to the problems that ail this country.
Yeah.
Then, but what happens when you come together?
It's about interest. But now, this interest is generated by the head of that institution. If the president says, I want to implement this, because the government is the one that formulates policies. It's the government that comes with an agenda that is going to run the country. So the president presents this and he brings to parliament for us to support. So we shall debate and either make it better or refuse it or reject it at all.
Okay.
Or just retain the way he came with it. So once we give it back to him, then we give him the money, then we give him everything. Then he must now give the Kenyans what they need.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Another interesting thing that I believe our viewers would be very, very interested to hear you say ni kuchanua watu. Now this is personal. One of the articles I read about you is that when you got shot, you were very, very, very bitter na life, kabisa.
Yeah.
In fact, you were very angry and you were very, very cold to your wife. But she insisted on staying and she stood by you through all that.
Yeah.
And so the question would be, I believe there's a segment of men who don't believe such people exist. And this goes across board, both types of men and types of women. How did you choose? Tell us the secret. It will only be shared amongst the people who are viewing the show.
Yeah. I think when you remember when you are getting married, it is said you take a vow and you say for the better or the worst.
But people don't care.
Yes, and then it depends now with the personal philosophy of a person. If this person did not love you from the word go,
yes,
then they will get any small excuse for them to take a walk. They will go.
Okay.
Because at that time, let me tell you, when you just wake up one day,
yes,
and somebody tells you, my brother, you'll never walk again. You'll go into a state of depression, you'll go into a denial, you'll become somebody else. You are not the same person.
yes.
So until you come out of that cocoon,
Yes.
that thing of now your mind is locked,
Yes.
that person around you must be very patient with you.
Very, because as far as I'm concerned, most
Yes.
people who get married think the phrase for better or for worse is a poem.
Yeah, no. Sometimes that's what it really means. If people who coming together and you are saying you are committing your lives to each other,
Okay.
then you must hold on.
Mheshimiwa, thank you for coming.
Yes.
One word for your people before we let you go.
We are privileged to be in a position to serve you, and I'm humbled that people have elected me twice, and I promise I'll never disappoint you.
Thank you for coming through.
Yes.
Karibu tena na tena.
Thank you.
Sindio?
Thank you.
Bas. That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.